There's a reason you feel tired. Even when nothing is technically wrong, you're functioning. You're working. You're surviving. But deep down, something feels empty, and you've been telling yourself it's weakness, that you should be stronger, more independent, less emotional. But what if you're not weak at all? What if you're just starving for something your heart was designed to need? Not success, not attention, not approval, love. And if that word makes you uncomfortable, that's exactly why you need to hear this. There are days when you feel strong. You wake up, you work, you smile when someone looks your way. You answer messages, you show up to responsibilities. On the outside, everything seems normal. But inside, there's a quiet emptiness. Not because you failed, not because you're weak, not because you don't have goals, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling loved. Maybe no one says it anymore. Maybe no one notices how tired you are. Maybe you give and give and give and it feels like nobody truly sees you. And the hardest part? You tell yourself you shouldn't need love this much. You tell yourself you're an adult. You should be independent. You should be strong on your own. But here's the truth. Most people don't admit out loud. We are not designed to survive without love. Not romantic fantasy love. Not dramatic movie love. Real love. The kind that makes you feel safe. The kind that makes you feel chosen. The kind that reminds you that you matter even on your worst days. And when that's missing, something inside you slowly starts to fade. You become more impatient, more adoptful, more easily hurt, more easily discouraged. You work harder, but feel emptier. You succeed, but feel unseen. You're surrounded by people, but feel alone. And sometimes you don't even realize that what you're truly starving for is love. Not validation, not attention, not applause. Love. Maybe you've been strong for too long. Maybe you've been the reliable one. Maybe you're the one everyone depends on, but no one checks on. And if that's you, I want you to know something before we go any further. The fact that you crave love does not make you weak. It makes you human. Today, we're not going to talk about love in a cliché way. We're not going to talk about fairy tales. We're going to talk about the real power of love, how it shapes us, how it breaks us, and how it can rebuild us when nothing else can. Because whether you admit it or not, the quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of love you give, receive, and most importantly, allow yourself to believe you deserve. If that sentence made something in you pause, then this message is for you. Let's name the real problem. It's not that love doesn't exist. It's that many of us don't feel safe enough to receive it. Somewhere in your past, you learned something about love. Maybe no one said it directly, but you absorbed it. Maybe love meant performance. You were praised when you achieved something. You were noticed when you behaved well. You were valued when you made others proud. So you learned, I have to earn love. Or maybe love was unpredictable. Warm one day, distant the next. Affection mixed with criticism. Support mixed with silence. So you learned, love can disappear at any time. Or maybe you loved someone deeply and they left. Or betrayed you. Or changed. So you learned. Love is risky. And here's what happens next. And this is where most people get stuck. We grow up. We build careers. We start relationships. We create families. We make money. We achieve things. But internally, we're still operating from those old beliefs. We overgive because we're afraid of being abandoned. We overwork because we think success equals worthiness. We stay in relationships that drain us because we're scared of being alone. We avoid vulnerability because we don't want to look needy. And slowly, love becomes something complicated. Instead of something we feel, it becomes something we negotiate. Instead of something we trust, it becomes something we control. Look at how common this is. Someone sends you a sweet message, and instead of enjoying it, you wonder what they want. Someone compliments you and you deflect it. Someone truly cares, and you feel uncomfortable. But someone pulls away, suddenly you chase, because we are often more familiar with instability than with peace. And that's the hidden wound. We don't struggle because we don't have love. We struggle because we don't know how to rest in it. And when you don't feel secure in love, everything else feels heavier. Your job feels more exhausting. Your mistakes feel more devastating. Your loneliness feels louder at night. Because without love as a foundation, life feels like constant survival. You start believing things like, I'm too much. I'm not enough. If they really knew me, they wouldn't stay. I have to keep proving myself. And those beliefs quietly shape every decision you make. The problem isn't that you're incapable of love. The problem is that somewhere along the way, you confused love with fear. Fear of Lucine, fear of not being chosen, fear of being abandoned, fear of being invisible. And fear will always distort love. So if you've been feeling tired lately, emotionally tired, like you're doing everything but still feel something missing, it might not be success you need. It might not be discipline. It might not even be a new relationship. It might be a new understanding of love. What if love is not something you chase, but something you cultivate? Not something you beg for. Not something you prove yourself worthy of. Not something that only exists when someone else chooses you, but something that starts with how you treat yourself when no one is watching. This is where the shift begins. Because the power of love is not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It shows up in small decisions. The decision to speak to yourself with patience instead of criticism. The decision to rest when you're tired instead of shaming yourself for slowing down. The decision to walk away from environments that shrink you. The decision to stop explaining your worth to people who don't want to see it. Tatisi lau. Real love is not intensity. It's consistency. It's not grand gestures. It's daily presence. Think about it. When you feel truly loved, what changes? You breathe differently. You take more risks. You recover faster from failure. You stop overthinking every mistake. Why? Because love creates safety, and safety unlocks growth. When a child feels safe, they explore. When a person feels safe, they try again. When a heart feels safe, it opens. The power of love is not that it removes problems. It's that it changes how you face them. So instead of asking, who will love me? Start asking, how can I become someone who lives from love instead of fear? And this doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means telling yourself the truth without cruelty. It means saying, I'm struggling right now, and that doesn't make me unworthy. I made a mistake, and I'm still deserving of respect. I feel lonely, and that doesn't mean I'm unlovable. These are small shifts, but they change everything. Because when you begin to treat yourself with steadiness, something powerful happens. You stop chasing attention. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop confusing chaos with passion. You begin to recognize that love should feel calm, not confusing, not anxiety-inducing, not like a constant test. Calm, strong, grounded. And here's the most practical part. You don't need a perfect life to experience this kind of love. You can start today by keeping one promise to yourself, by setting one boundary, by forgiving one old mistake, by choosing one healthier response instead of your usual reactive one. The power of love is not that it changes the world overnight. It changes you first. And when you change, your standards change, your relationships change, your confidence changes, your energy changes. Love is not weakness. It is one of the strongest forces in your life, because the person who feels loved, especially by themselves, cannot be easily manipulated, cannot be easily broken, and cannot be easily convinced that they are less than enough. But this isn't just theory. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Daniel. On paper, Daniel looked successful. He had a stable job in finance. He owned a small apartment. He dressed well. He was dependable, responsible, quietly respected. But inside, Daniel was exhausted. He had grown up in a home where love was conditional. His father believed praise made children weak. His mother loved him but showed it through sacrifice, not affection. So, Daniel learned early, be strong, be useful. Don't need too much. In his 20s and 30s, that mindset helped him succeed. He worked harder than everyone else. He never complained. He never asked for help. But when his long-term relationship ended, suddenly, unexpectedly, something in him cracked. Not because she left, but because he realized he didn't know who he was without being needed. He had built his entire identity around earning love. He paid for everything. He solved every problem. He suppressed his feelings to avoid conflict. And when she said, "I feel like I don't really know you," he didn't even know how to respond, because he didn't know himself either. 4 months after the breakup, Daniel spiraled. He worked longer hours. He avoided friends. He told everyone he was fine. But at night, in his quiet apartment, he felt something he had never allowed himself to feel before. Loneliness. Not the kind that comes from being single. The kind that comes from never truly being seen. One evening, he did something small, but different. Instead of turning on the TV to drown out the silence, he sat with Italiano. And for the first time, he asked himself a question he had never asked. What do I actually need? The answer surprised him. He didn't need another relationship. He didn't need more money. He needed gentleness. He realized he had been harder on himself than anyone else ever had. So he started small. He stopped mocking himself for mistakes. He started saying no when he was over. He called a friend and admitted he wasn't okay. It felt uncomfortable at first. Vulnerable. Weak, even. But something unexpected happened. His friend didn't judge him. He didn't pull away. He didn't see Daniel as less of a man. He leaned in, and in that moment, Daniel experienced something new. Love without performance. No proving. No fixing. No earning. Just presence. Over time, that changed him. He still worked hard. He still aimed high, but he no longer tied his worth to productivity. When he eventually entered another relationship, he showed up differently. He spoke about his fears instead of hiding them. He asked for reassurance instead of pretending he didn't need it. He allowed himself to be seen. And for the first time in his life, love felt calm. Not because the other person was perfect, but because he no longer abandoned himself to keep someone else. Daniel didn't become successful because someone loved him. He became whole because he learned how to love without fear, without bargaining, without... It doesn't just connect you to others. It reconnects you to yourself. If you've listened this far, then something inside you already understands this. Love is not a luxury. It is not a reward for being perfect. It is not something reserved for the lucky, the attractive, the successful, or it is a human need. And more than that, it is a human power. The power of love is not that it guarantees you won't be hurt. You will be hurt sometimes. You will lose people. You will misunderstand and be misunderstood. But love gives you something stronger than protection. It gives you resilience. When you feel loved, truly loved, you don't crumble at every setback. You don't measure your worth by every rejection. You don't destroy yourself over every mistake. Because deep down, you know, I am still worthy. And when that belief is stable inside you, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop settling for half-hearted affection. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. The strongest people in this world are not the coldest. They are the ones brave enough to stay open, brave enough to love again after disappointment, brave enough to forgive themselves after failure, brave enough to believe they deserve something steady and real. So, if you've been feeling tired, if you've been feeling unseen, if you've been giving more than you've been receiving, let this be your reminder. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for what you were built for, and the love you are searching for. The safety, the calm, the reassurance does not start when someone finally chooses you. It starts the moment you stop abandoning yourself. The power of love is this. It rebuilds what fear tried to destroy. It softens what pain tried to harden. It reminds you that even after everything, you are still capable of connection, still capable of growth. still capable of giving and receiving something beautiful. And maybe the most important truth of all, the life you build will only ever be as strong as the love you allow yourself to believe you deserve. So choose carefully, choose gently, choose bravely. Because love, real love, is not weakness. It is the quiet force that carries you through everything.